Hello. I think we are live. Are we alive? Yes.
Yes,
live
we are.
from. Who was that? Is that a voice?
This is the voice of football here. Voice of the
Voice in my
fan.
head? Oh, the voice of the fan. All right. Hello, voice of the fan. We are live from Rome. Hello, girls and boys. How are you doing? And if you don't believe me, I'll show you. Actually, can I take you out, voice? Can I take the thing out and show the audience where we are?
Please take us there.
I still don't know if I'm hearing this in my head or you hearing it. But anyway, I'm going to take you out. This is the room. It's actually quite a good, nice room. Look, big room. I had to take the stuff on the bed, which was actually the stuff that I was going to wear for today's show on the CBS. Today and tomorrow. The bit tomorrow is quite outrageous. I'll keep an eye on it tomorrow. Anyway, this is where I am. Okay, it's sunny in Rome. I'll tell you in a minute why I'm in Rome. And as always in Rome, there's no pattern to the architecture. You've got some building in front of me, which is about 100 years old, maybe, but the one next to it looks like it's 3 or 4 centuries old. And not this side, but the other side, there are remains of an old Rome. Why am I in Rome? You must be wondering. Let me just place myself again properly. I've been told it has to go like this because of the graphics that are going to come up any second now. So I put the charger on because I already. What time is it? It's. Let me find out. It's 2:08 in the afternoon in Rome, and the battery of my phone is practically gone. Anyway, I am here because I am covering for CBS 2 matches in the Champions League. The first one is Lazio Bayern. And I want to talk to you about that game because I've studied it and I've got things to say. But also we'll go through a couple of games more that I think make up for a very interesting Champions League week yet again. But Lazio Bayern Munich, it's one that when it came up in the draw, you thought like, Bayern Munich, this is it, isn't it? It's easy. But things have happened since, and that's why it's not good to predict what happens on the day of the draw. Lazio have only lost 1 game out of the last 8, and it was an Inter Milan that right now are told Serie A. But they have 2 or 3 things that could actually be this Bayern side, a Bayern that got 1 point out of 6 in the league. They lost against Inter Frankfurt at home. But also they have a lot of players injured. They won't have Douglas Costa, Serge Gnabry. They won't have Thomas Muller, Pavard, the right back. And these are key players. At least 3 of them would have started certainly against Lazio. Quite clearly, Lewandowski is still scoring for fun. In fact, he's got a better record right now that he had last season at this stage. And he would have been, wouldn't he? He would have been Ballon d'Or if the Ballon d'Or had been given this year. He was the best player in Europe last season. But despite all that, they have a lot of defensive problems. They're still doing the pressure high, and the defensive line is very high, which means that Ciro Immobile, the best goal scorer in Serie A, the best goal scorer in Europe last season, the Golden Boot of last season, plays for Lazio, and actually he could surprise many with Correa as well. Correa and Immobile very fast. If Lazio have got 2 things that they can do very well. Build from the back with quality, even though when the spaces are very small, they've got a lot of quality at the back. But also, once they can, they will deliver high balls to Correa and certainly to Immobile to see if they can catch Bayern Munich by surprise. So much more equal than you will expect. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been, if you remember, for those that follow me and the podcast, we spoke to Lewandowski about the art of scoring for something I did for the BBC. It came out in a lovely pod, and we will have it somewhere. It was the list of, I think we've got like 30 already pods or episodes anyway. One of them is with Lewandowski, so I put the link later on Twitter and social media, so you can listen to him talk about how he makes it, or how he became so good. Many interesting things out of it. But I had a whole afternoon with Aduriz, you remember, the striker of Atleti Club, who, of course, watched Lewandowski as well and see how he learned what his learning process was. And one of the things they both coincided in is that they were very good at other sports. Volleyball, in the case of Lewandowski, in the case of Aduriz, he was very good at fronton. What do you call that one? It's like tennis in a wall with a different kind of racket, or with a hand that gets played in the Basque Country. What I'm getting at is that their flexibility, their timing of the ball, all that also depends on what they learn through the games. That's it for the Lazio Bayern Munich preview, don't you think? But there are two more games that I want to talk to you about. One of them because I actually will be going to Bergamo for Atalanta Real Madrid. Atalanta Real Madrid is yet again one of those that you think, well, more experience on Real Madrid, no? But don't forget that Real Madrid have been knocked out in the last 16 twice in the last 2 years. Well, they've been knocked out in the last 16 in the last 2 years, which means that right now they're not the Real Madrid of old. I think you're all aware of that. Atalanta, on the other hand, with Gasperini, what a wonderful games that they play, with an average of 2.3, I think, goals per game in Serie A. Nobody scores so many goals. They concede a lot as well. But there's no guarantee, and this is something I've always challenged to managers, there is no guarantee that you're going to win games, but be very defensive and making sure you don't concede, because you often concede by doing exactly that, by defending too deep, defending your box. Accidents happen if you perhaps surround your goalkeeper with players and park the bus. Sometimes all the things, penalties, handballs can happen. There's no guarantee of anything. So Gasperini has thought, well, let's just go on the attack. Let's just attack. Let's just go and try to beat teams by scoring more. And it makes for a lot of fun. Papu Gomez was one of the stars of Atalanta, and it felt like one of the big cogs in the whole machine. But he's gone, and they continue scoring goals and playing in the same way. Perhaps in the last few weeks, he's balancing a little bit more that attack with a better defense. And Real Madrid, well, no Benzema. No Benzema. Let's have a look at how many goals have the other strikers have scored when Benzema has not been there. One. That's all. So it will be very difficult for Real Madrid to contain the pace of Atalanta. I said the same when they played Inter, but what did they do after a couple of moments in which Inter attacked them and Real Madrid could not control? They got hold of the ball. The Real Madrid midfielders, Kroos, Modric, and Casemiro, still there, yes. Well, those are the ones that they will try to slow things down, and then Real Madrid will have a chance. But if it goes box to box, if it goes very open, I think Atalanta will win this game and perhaps even go through the next round. But that's the second game I wanted to talk to you about. There's one more that gets played today, in which I won't be able to obviously follow, and I have to watch recorded later, and it's Atletico Madrid Chelsea. It's funny because we will discuss with CBS today that not many people count on Atletico Madrid to win this Champions League. And I wondered why. I'd like to hear if you give me some ideas, and I may just add that to my preview with CBS, because why do you think it is? In this case, again, with Tuchel having come in, I think it's 4 victories and 2 draws since he arrived. He's still got to add many layers to the side, to Chelsea. He's got a lot of quality, of course. But Atletico Madrid have got a really good structure that is cracking a little bit. It's cracking a proper word. Just not perfect at the moment, with 7 games in which they conceded in every game. That hasn't happened with Simeone before. They're going to Bucharest. Why? Well, of course, you know that Chelsea cannot travel to Spain, and having to choose somewhere else to go, Atletico Madrid thought, how about the symbolism of going to the place where Simeone got his first title? That was at Bucharest. That was the Europa League final against Athletic Club de Bilbao, and it was Simeone's first title, as I say. They've gone to that. Why is it not perfect? Because they concede chances, and when it gets into the box, they concede goals. When in the past they would have had those shots blocked or saved by Oblak. Right now, if they don't stop conceding goals, that obviously is a problem. 0-0 will be a good result for Atletico Madrid on this one. I still feel that Atletico Madrid are better side, more compact than Chelsea, but Chelsea can score, and Atletico Madrid at the moment are conceding. So very, very tight. We'll have to go to the second leg to determine how this one goes. I'm sure the other ones are the same. But I just thought I'd preview you to start while everybody's gathering at home and getting their cups of tea or waters or whatever, putting their feet up and watching this. Because now is your questions. It's time for your questions. And as we have a voice to tell us what's coming, I just wonder if the voice, if it's not in my head and it's a real one, can tell us what's coming next. Well, I do love, by the way, wait. I wanted to say how much I love that star that was prepared by Sport by me, and they don't mind me using it. So, sorry, I interrupted your voice. Go ahead.
Your Welster says, Guillem, who will have to step up for Atletico given their injuries?
Well, Marcos Llorente has been the best player, hasn't he? Luis Suarez has been scoring. By the way, despite the fact that he scored, 16 goals in La Liga, 0 goals in the Champions League, and 0 assists in the Champions League. He's never been at this stage of the Champions League and not affected again. So you will expect him to score. But another amazing stat with Luis Suarez is that actually he scored no goal away since 2015, which is unbelievable. But even though they're in Bucharest, they're not away. So I'm not sure if it counts for his stat. But obviously, there will be a chance the chance that Luis Suarez will have, and if he scores, then it will help. Marcos Llorente, let's see what he gets used, because the absence of Trippier on the right-hand side and Brisalico also injured means that perhaps Marcos Llorente, if Simeone maintains that 3-5-2 formation that he's used most of the time this season, he may be the right wing back. And if that's the case, they're getting far away from the goal, which is a bit of a shame because he's got so much quality making that running behind, that run into space to be found and then put a cross in. So I think Marcos Llorente will be crucial. But in terms of players that you expect them to do better, the back three, they need to improve. Saul, I expect more from him. Let's see if he plays. And Joao Felix. Joao Felix is not playing his best football and may even not start. It may be Correa. But as I said, if you have ideas of why people don't think that they're favourites, because in my eyes, they've got everything that you require once they tied up the defence to get to a final. And then in the finals, as Luis Aragonés used to say, the defence takes you to a final. But in the final is the attack that helps you win. And they have that too. So that's my long answer to that one. What else?
The next question comes from the other side of Madrid. It's Yo Welser who says, is Casemiro the most important player for Real Madrid this season?
Casemiro has been so important for Real Madrid, possibly with Benzema, Sergio Ramos, Courtois, the key players, but also Modric and Kroos, key players. So not sure which one to choose. I mean, the fact that Sergio Ramos is now gone makes us forget that he's been the best goal scorer, that he has been led the defense, that he helped Real Madrid to win the title. But the fact is, Casemiro doesn't have a replacement. There's no great replacements right now for either of those 4 players, especially Benzema. But in the case of Casemiro, he understands the game so well. And now he's even added 1 or 2 goals, which is what Zidane has asked him to do. But yeah, how to choose which one is the important one for Real Madrid is difficult to say. But it's fascinating that Real Madrid is still winning, still competitive most of the time, but not always, with a team that was there, 2015. On Casemiro, one last thing. It was Rafa Benitez who not only wanted him back at the side after his long deal with Benfica, but anyway wanted him in the team. He was criticized for it. Zidane came and then kept him there. And of course, yes, he has been a crucial part of this Real Madrid that has won so much since then. What else have we got?
There's more questions on Real Madrid, Guillem. This one's from Twitter. Kevin Smith asks, is it possible for Real to buy Haaland and Mbappe, or does Haaland end up in the Premier League first?
You've done this before, Voice, haven't you? You're really professional in the way you say things. What do you think, by the way, Voice, about this?
I think they should go ahead and buy everyone that they can.
Okay, they don't have the money though. But I tell you what's happening. On one hand, there's no big finances to buy both Mbappe and Haaland for either club in the world, I would say. That's number one. Number two, Real Madrid, they want their players to reduce the wages 10 to 25%. Some people say 25. I don't think they'll be able to do that. Certainly 10%. And that's another 10% adding to the one that they already reduced the wages for, which was agreed. Now they're negotiating this individually, while in the past, the 10%, the past must be May, I think it was, that 10% reduction of the wages was collective. But Real Madrid needs more reduction of those wages, of the wage cost. And it will be difficult to do when you actually say, and then we're going to buy Mbappe and Haaland. Now, it's not going to be possible, I don't think, to get this summer. The dream for Real Madrid is to actually get, as Mbappe may renew his contract with PSG, it's not final, it's not the only possibility. It has not been agreed, but certainly it's been negotiated. I think Mbappe is looking around and thinking perhaps there isn't the money available for, compared to what PSG offer me. Certainly, I don't think anybody can offer the 35 million euros net that he may get. It's a lot of money, and Real Madrid won't be able to afford that. They have to be very creative how they do with wages, image rights, etc., to get close to that. Plus, PSG have said if anybody wants Mbappe next summer, they'll have to be 200 million euros. 200 million euros when actually he's got a year left in his contract. But yes, that has been the proposal from PSG right now. If anybody wants him, 200 million euros, which makes him really expensive. So then Real Madrid may be thinking of putting the efforts on Haaland. The situation with Haaland is that the agreement, private agreement there is that he goes, that definitely goes not this summer, but next summer. But Dortmund have already put in the market the idea that they will let him go this summer as well. For a figure that Real Madrid believes it would be between 100 and 150 million euros, but it's not the only club that would like to have him. You've got Barcelona, the three candidates would like to convince Haaland to come over to Barcelona if they had the money. There'll be the four top clubs in England as well. It's one of those in which Haaland will have to decide if he wants to leave now, and I think he's ready for the next step. But certainly, he'll have to be not only a money decision, it'll have to be as well about progression and how he feels he is at the moment. If he thinks, for instance, that going to Real Madrid, that Real Madrid is in transition, or Barcelona that is in transition, if he wants to be part of the new project that will help them win, or if he wants to go to a more a candidate, a club that actually can win straight away. No decision has been made, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But for me, well, by the way, boys, have we got questions on who is better, Mbappe or Haaland? Because, of course, that has been the talk of this week, hasn't it?
We have something adjacent to that. We have Sherlock Shadman asking, who will suit Real Madrid's team more, Mbappe or Haaland? You've already answered the second half of it. Could you take the first half?
Yes, let's deal with who is best or who would suit Real Madrid better. For me, Haaland. And who is best out of the two right now? Haaland. It's not to do with the fact that PSG lost against Monaco the weekend and that Mbappe was really well stopped there, well defended, and Barcelona just gave too much space to Mbappe, too much respect, and that also, Sevilla did the same with Haaland, but Haaland couldn't appear so much in the second half when they changed the formation. Let's go through it a little bit. For me, Haaland is closer to the best he can be already, amazingly enough. He's got the power, the strength, the intelligence to make those moves. I remember talking to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and saying to me that Haaland was not a natural talent, that actually he needed a lot of instructions, and that he helped when he was at Molde to give him some tips on, the movement, what kind of movement, when to move, all those kind of things that eventually when you get into your DNA, like it is now, then you do it with your eyes closed. Haaland right now is an automatic, is a talent that will make an automatic impact into whatever team he goes. And it will work as well at Barcelona as it would at Real Madrid or PSG or Chelsea or City. It will perfectly will be a great addition to those sides. Mbappe, on the other hand, he needs to decide if he wants to be Neymar or Cristiano Ronaldo. That is the goal scorer that kills you, or wants to be part of the build-up and links up and touches more the ball, like Neymar does. A different type of player, but you know what I'm trying to say. And I think he hasn't decided yet, and he's learning the trade. He's learning to do what he is best at. And I think the job of Pochettino is to actually limit a little bit what he does to have a bigger impact, which is what more or less happened with France and happens with France, as he's got quality next to him with Griezmann or whoever it is that they play with him. So Haaland right now, total impact. And Mbappe, we still got a huge room for improvement. Now, when he gets to his peak, I think Haaland will be left behind. But we have to see how long that's going to take. And it will be also down to the fact that Mbappe will have to decide if he wants to be at PSG for a bit longer, comfortable, next to Neymar, so shadowed by Neymar, because, by the way, for me, Neymar is a better player than Mbappe and Haaland. That's the other part of the discussion last week. And I said it in the 5 Live show and the pod that we do, the EuroLeagues, the Football Daily show. I said, I understand that everybody is putting Mbappe and Haaland together, and there are only 2 years separating them. But the player we have to think of is Neymar, who, by the way, in terms of his future, now that we put a new graphic on that, is that it seems all agreed with PSG. He's going to stay, and he's going to be very happy with the deal because it's practically all agreed. It will be announced at some point, and he wants to convince Mbappe to stay. But Mbappe has to decide Neymar is there, and I know he's in late 20s, but he can, with the way he plays, unless he's kicked around too often again, the way he plays, he will have still many years of high quality. Does Mbappe want to be at the shadow of Neymar or wants to move out? Neymar didn't want to be at the shadow of Messi, and he decided, by the way, on that 6-1 victory against PSG. He scored twice, Neymar, that day. He assisted as well. He, especially for the last goal, provoked a penalty. And even so, the photo was Messi with his arms stretched in front of the fans. And Neymar decided that it was time to move on. Well, Mbappe will have to do that. Does he want to stay and be at the shadow of Neymar? Or does he want to be the leader of a big project in one of those clubs that we mentioned? That's another question, the answer of which we'll have to wait and see. Voice, what else have we got?
We have a lot of interest on Haaland. One from Instagram, Pratt402 says, since Laporta is a favorite, do you think he's in contact with Raiola over a possible Haaland transfer? There's one on Twitter as well, which is by Kevin Smith, who says, will Haaland go to Bayern in 2022 due to the clause? What clause, Guillem?
The clause. A clause which many are using to say that he could go for 75 million euros this summer. It's a clause in which, yes, Dortmund will have to let him go if he wants to go, not this summer, but next summer. But that his bio clause gets reduced this summer already. But Real Madrid have asked about this, and they say it's from 100 to 150 million euros that Borussia Dortmund would be able to let him go. And that Dortmund have got the obligation, if he doesn't go this summer, to let him go the summer after. And yes, I've asked about this to the 3 candidates. I did a piece on the BBC talking to the 3 candidates. They didn't want to put names out there because they said that they don't want to really create false expectations, because you can talk to Mino Raiola, for instance, and talk about the possibility of going for Haaland. And yes, the 3 candidates have got information about that and how much it will take to take Haaland to Barcelona, the 3 of them. The problem is that you have to then convince Dortmund and pay more than whatever other club wants him, like Real Madrid. So the minimum Barcelona will do is make it expensive for Real Madrid if he wants to go that way, but they cannot confirm his signature. There was a question being put to Tony Fresha, one of the candidates, yesterday, and he said yes, it's possible to get players of that caliber. He didn't really want to go far into if he was Mbappe and Haaland that he wanted to bring to the club, but he said that he's got an investor or investors that want to put 250 million euros to Barcelona, which would be interesting, because I imagine if he doesn't win the elections, he will put that available to the next manager to the next chairman of Barcelona. That's on the 7th of March, by the way. We'll have to keep an eye again on the elections and the future of Barcelona from that point of view. But yes, he was saying that there is a possibility of getting Haaland and Mbappe together, which I think is a little bit optimistic. But he did say that he's spoken and was talking as if I had agreed with 2 forwards and a centre-back, a defender, that will make a big jump to Barcelona, will be able to come to Barcelona. Didn't say the names. Strategically, it was important to Tony Freixa because yesterday was the end of the postal vote. So by saying that, he expects people to be convinced that he's the one to take to be the chairman. By the way, there is a lot of polls out there, and Freixa wins them all. Even though we all think that Joan Laporta is the favorite. I know some of you keep an eye on the elections of Barcelona. I still think Laporta is the favorite, and it's interesting that in the polls it's Freixa who wins them. Bots or what that is, we don't know, but wins them all, which, yeah, it's a bit surprising. What else have we got, boys? Because I think we've got another 10 minutes before I have to get ready and be prepared for the CBS, the trip to the stadium first for Lazio Bayern, and to be prepared for the live links with the CBS later on. What else have we got?
A couple of questions on Thiago. Kevin has sent so many questions. Kevin Smith, again, he asked, why has Thiago had a bad start? And we also have Geeks Online asking, do you see any chance in Thiago returning to Bayern this summer?
Why? No. But by the way, patience. Men and women, patience. Thiago is a top player. He showed it everywhere he's been. The structure of Liverpool is a problem. If you're telling me that all the points that they dropped is because of Thiago, we want to always find out. I think I repeat this every time. We want to find easy solutions to complicated problems. Thiago, has he been good? No. But can he get better? Absolutely. Does he help that the team, if the team would he help if the team was more solid? Obviously. Does having Thiago takes the style of Liverpool far away from the style that have been known for, the heavy metal football? Well, by the way, they already changed last season. They already won last season by saving energy, by controlling games. They were so efficient in both boxes that helped them win the Champions League, but especially the league. And quite clearly, there is an idea. They get Thiago because the idea is to move that style further towards control. And at the moment, I think there is 2 minds at play, or 3 or 4 minds at play when Liverpool is on the pitch. That adaptation has not been helped by injuries. You all know that. And by injuries to himself as well. And the fact that the players that came in got injured too. I think Diego Jota was obviously, as we know, a success from the moment he arrived. I think he's training again, so it'll be good news to see him back. But it's just when there are doubts when they creep in the mind of players is the worst thing that can happen. And right now, this is a Liverpool that quite clearly have got doubts in everything they do. Quite clearly, they've been affected. And Johan Cruyff used to say that the hardest thing is not to win. The hardest thing is to win after winning. And I feel that that's what's happening at Liverpool. And until that gets sorted, forget about this season, perhaps, in terms of the league, obviously. But if they create the conditions for the new style to succeed, then you've got potentially another candidate for every title, of course, with Thiago in the team. Right, what else have we got?
There's a question further up north about Newcastle United by Paulo Sa Ferreira, who asked, with the ongoing saga of the Newcastle takeover and the team's poor performances, is it possible for a return of Benitez to the club this season with Mike Ashley? Or if the team drops into the championship next season with new owners?
Rafa Benitez, what do you think, boys? This is an obvious one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's an obvious one. And I've dealt with it on Twitter already. I was asked a couple of times. I'll ask the question back. Is there a project with Mike Ashley? Is there a plan? Is there intention to actually spend money on the academy and the facilities and in the squad? If the answer is no, then you've got the answer of Rafa Benitez if he ever was approached again. But he hasn't, and it is a no. It's amazing, certainly, to think that somebody of his caliber doesn't have a team, but it happens. You'll have to wait for each moment. I don't know if there was a question on Twitter as well on replacing Klopp with Rafa Benitez. Have we got that one, the boys?
We don't, but you can always talk about Klopp replacing.
Right. Sorry to cut you off. But basically, it's like, what? Somebody was saying, if Klopp goes or if Klopp's got to be replaced, how about Rafa Benitez? Let me say that there is a feeling of unfinished business with Rafa and Liverpool. I've always said that. And Rafa would love to be the Liverpool manager at some point. Maybe in a time of crisis, proper crisis, know what's happening now. Maybe in a time where, there was a need of a strong personality to steady a ship. But right now, in the way that the board is, or the owners are behaving and club and everything, that situation doesn't exist. So, first of all, man, woman, how can we think that club has reached the end of an era? I think because, especially those that think of football all the time and think of Liverpool all the time, like all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Perhaps after a whole week thinking Klopp should go, Klopp should go, you start thinking, yeah, that's the thing to do. You convince yourself. But I recommend you to go for a walk and look at the bigger world and at the bigger picture. And how can anybody suggest that is like laughable? By the way that the emotions of the fans work is not how boards work generally. So you also have to think of that. But it's stupid and absurd to be talking about a future with that Juve club right away. So yeah, we move on. How about if we do one more, maybe two even, boys? I'm going to have to give you a name, boys. How should I call you?
The voice of the fans is pretty good.
Voice of the fans, okay.
Yeah. All right. There's a question about becoming a sports journalist, which I think, everyone really wants to know a little more about. In our DA asks, how do I become a sports journalist and what was your journey like? There are some questions on YouTube from fans as well, which we'll take one or two off if that's all right with you.
Yeah. That's right.
This one first.
Okay. Basically, how can I put it? I explained this many times, and I could spend a whole hour telling you my story, and maybe I do that at some point in a video on YouTube. There are bits in there, I think, of my career, but the first thing is that you have to be very passionate about what you want to do. I did not want to become a sports journalist. I wanted to become a journalist. That is, that creates the foundations of what journalist is. For me, more or less than a journalist, what I am is a storyteller, communicator. And that can be done in different forms. And I think that's my passion. More than being a journalist, asking the questions and putting them on an article in a newspaper or whatever, or the format you want. For me, it was about communicating. So that's why I do podcasts and YouTube or, books, even songs. It's about communicating feelings, stories, the story of people, moments. That's my real passion. So then you have to find a way of living on that. First is about yourself, about what you really want to do. And then you never forget that if journalist is what you want to be, you are a microphone. That's all you are. If you want to be a journalist for your opinion to be heard, you're in the wrong profession. And the other thing you should know is that it's a long-term project. Never think short-term. Never think that if you've got a huge story that can let people down, certain people that are giving you that story, that the best thing is to put it out there, because you lose that people. And that's really not a good start to your career. Think always long-term. But anyway, if there was any interest in me to tell you more about how it worked out for me, and, I've been very lucky, but it is true that the harder you work, the luckier you get. Well, we could do a special on that or just a video on it. What do you think, boys?
Absolutely, including the masterclasses that you do for UCFP.
Oh, yes. Oh, by the way, there are videos on that, and I can't remember if I recorded one of them that I did on UCFP. May put it out there, but otherwise we may do something on it. So you're saying voice of the fans, that we've got questions from YouTube.
There is one especially, which deals with my favorite football club in the world. Here you go.
Oh.
Good afternoon, Guillem. Hope you're all well.
Hello,
is there
James.
any update on how the season is going to be determined for Biggleswade United and other lower league clubs?
Well, we know that there is a path to get out of the situation that the UK is in. We know that the FA thinks that I think it's the 23rd of March, in which it could be allowed to, for fans to get into stadiums at certain levels. But we haven't heard details of step 3 to 6. So we are in step 5. We are step 7 on the other 23s, and with the ladies also we are step 7. We haven't heard what's going to happen, so we got to be patient. We are prepared, we are ready, and meanwhile the thing that we've done at the club is just reinforce infrastructures, to try to reinforce the way we work, how we work, how the club is set up. We're ready in terms of opening the clubhouse. We are absolutely ready. Happy every time that we had to open. The players are ready, ladies, men, the youth as well. We're all ready, but we have to wait for more instructions. Meanwhile, I invite every one of you to actually look at our YouTube channel and our Twitter account and Instagram, because you get stuff there that we've been doing all this time. There's a good, I think, voice of the fans. Give me a little bit more information about what Josh has been doing in our YouTube channel in the club culture.
Josh Roberts Law has actually been producing these wonderful videos where he's playing games of top 11, featuring Biggleswade United itself, the players, including the likes of Dave Bullet Parkinson, who is one of the legends of the club, should I say already. And well, those are taking off already, and people can go and watch them now on the YouTube channel. The next episode will be out later this week, but there's already 3 episodes out there on YouTube that they can consume.
There you are. So have we got any more questions from YouTube?
Can we finish with talking a little bit about Leo Messi? Otherwise, we will get flooded with questions about that. Lewis Cook says, please talk about Messi. And then we have John O'Brien, who says, do you think Messi will go to Man City? Well, will he?
Right. That's what I'm going to repeat myself here, but not all of you watch all my videos, so I don't think it'll be much of a problem. I think Voice of Fans does watch me all the time. It's got to. But in any case, Messi. There is no news in the sense that he won't come out with what he wants to do. 3 things that have come out from his end. One, that he was upset by the use or the talk about his future created from PSG, from friends of his. Di Maria, Neymar, he cheekily talk about playing together next season. He doesn't need that. He doesn't want that. Another thing that's come out is that he will start considering the situation after the elections, and that's soon. And thirdly, he has said himself that he will decide at the end of the season. I think he will decide earlier than the end of the season because, massive contract, a lot of very complex as well. So he needs to all be finalized one way or another. And this changes every week. So last week we were saying, all of a sudden the link up with Pedri works really well. Trinca was scoring goals. Ansu Fati, when he returns, he will be important as well. Araujo was doing too well as well. Those are young players. So there is a transition towards a different Barcelona. But then they go and draw against Cádiz, and everybody's feeling goes down. In fact, his own as well, because at the end of the game, he just turned around and just got into the changing rooms without saying hello to anyone. Koeman did that as well. He was really, really affected because Atletico Madrid, the day before, had lost at home. It gave Barcelona a chance to get closer to Atletico Madrid, but they failed. So last week we were saying the feeling in the streets, when I talk to people, is that if Laporta wins, he can convince Messi to stay. That's what Laporta's can be saying anyway. But the impression I've got is that if they put on the table a good proposal that includes reinforcing those youngsters, getting rid of some players, but that raising money to actually get big players coming in, it may be an interesting 15, 16 group of 15, 16 players that can make Barcelona competitive and take Barcelona towards being better. But Messi knows the limitations, and then he has to decide if that's enough, if that will excite him, or if he actually would take a dramatic situation for him, which is to tell his kids and his wife again, let's go. And then City or PSG. That's the only two possibilities. Would he go to City? We know that City will love to have him. We know that Pep Guardiola spoke to him for 4 consecutive hours about what it will mean going back and working together. We know that Messi said a year ago, yes, I would love to be trained by Pep Guardiola again. There is that attraction for PSG. It's a less competitive league. You have to admit that, but PSG will have to wake up a little bit because they are third, I think, at the moment, or 3 points away from the top. They normally will win the league, and of course, it will mean being competitive or putting the biggest energies into a Champions League every year, because they've certainly have got the quality to do so. No way to actually guess what can happen. You cannot just go and say anything because there is not enough evidence of what might happen. Anyway, I've enjoyed this. I think, boys of the fans, you are contract. If you are happy to do this, we may be able to do this live again. And I think you have to be part of it. You become an essential part of the show already. If you are happy with that.
Absolutely delighted to take up that offer.
Good. You really don't want me to call you anything else? All right, voice of the fans, it will be.
Always the voice of the fans. That's it.
Excellent. So that's it. Remember, follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. That's my tag and my ID or address or whatever it's called. Then, of course, the pod. You have to check the pod. There are new episodes coming up, and some of it will surprise you, I think. That's it. The Pure Football Podcast. And I think we'll leave it here. I'll get ready. I'm in Rome, so I need to go for a walk. I think that's the thing to do, isn't it? Especially with the kind of weather that we've seen. Thank you very much, everyone, for following us, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Say bye, voice of the fans. Oh.
Bye.